Jonathan Shrager here from mixedmartialarts.com, joined by Niall McGrath, Talking Brawls MMA. We're here outside the scene of Saturday night's fights. Should be an epic night of fights, really. A lot of, shall we say, a lot of buzz, a lot of furore surrounding this event, obviously because of the one and only Conor McGregor. I'm joined, obviously, as I've just said, by Niall McGrath, fellow countryman of Conor. First of all, Niall, obviously I've got more of a detached perspective of the fights and what have you, but yourself being from Ireland, actually from Dublin City, I imagine you'll have been experiencing the hoopla firsthand. How, I mean, obviously now with the late withdrawal of Jose Aldo with a rib injury, Chad Mendes comes in. First of all, how's the buzz surrounding the event following that? Yeah,
there's still a lot of buzz. You know, I'd be lying, Johnny, if I said to you that people weren't disappointed. I think everyone was hugely disappointed in Ireland. But the fact is, we're going to get a result on Saturday night. We're going to learn a lot of things about Conor, how he's going to deal with that wrestler question, which has been, one of the most prominent questions in the division. Can Conor McGregor deal with a wrestler? That's a question we're going to learn on Saturday night. We're going to learn also who's going to be the number one contender. It's a fascinating matchup. We were chatting about it earlier on. How does Conor deal with the wrestler? Will Chad be able to take him down? There's so many different aspects of this fight, so many interesting styles and predicaments in which way this fight can go. But the buzz back at home, it's still a big buzz. There's a lot of Irish going to be coming out here. We saw guys yesterday when my bag got lost in Los Angeles. Yeah. We saw a lot of Irish there transferring over to Vegas, so it's heating up nicely and just buzzing for it. And like the rest of the country, there's big hype back home even for this fight across the national broadcasters as well.
And obviously with it's been touted that there's going to be thousands of Irish here. Actually, Irish that live in Ireland, and then obviously on top of that, you're going to have the Irish who live out here in America. Thousands have been cited that will be in attendance here on Saturday night. Do you think that there was even a small percentage of Irish people who maybe would have cancelled the trip on the basis of the late switch of opponent, or do you think they're just coming over here anyway?
It's a once in a lifetime opportunity to get to Las Vegas. We're not the type of people to back out. If there's an injury or something like that, one of us goes to war, all of us go to war. Conor said that. So no, listen, I think Dave Shaw answered on the media call a couple of weeks ago as well that they've had a very, very little request for refunds on tickets like that. Yeah. I know guys coming down from Canada who are living in Canada. I know guys, Irish guys in different parts of the US that are coming down. It's not going to be, it's going to be a lot of expats as well as the 2,500 travelling over on top of that as well. There's loads of guys here going to not have tickets on Saturday night, so it's going to have that real special big fight atmosphere to it regardless.
And we're here now Tuesday morning as we're talking here, and I wanted to ask as well, I'm myself a Mancunian, proud Mancunian, followed Ricky Hatton around the globe to watch him fight, despite the fact, as you like to point out, he was a blue. We all have our faults. I'm not flawless. But I was going to say the buzz that surrounded Ricky Hatton during his pomp, thousands of Mancunians, literally. I think it was cited that maybe 20,000 travelled here when he fought Floyd Mayweather, maybe even in excess of 20,000. On Saturday, there's rumoured to be around 5,000 Irish that will be here.
Be more than that.
You reckon it'll be more than that?
Yeah. It's just, at these sort of last minute things, you'll have guys that are living in California, students on their J1 visa coming down for the fight, soak up that big atmosphere. There's people going to be from all over, the United States of America, Irish. Man, it's going to be green. It's going to be like that was, but just green. I can see up to 10, 15,000 Irish being here for the weekend. Yeah, I really do think so, yeah. And
do you believe that Conor has the potential, with all the Irish nation behind him, to maybe even exceed the numbers that we saw here with Ricky Hatton for the Mayweather and Pacquiao fights? Do you think maybe if he wins on Saturday, which, let's be honest, most people view it as the interim title, the title eliminator, if you will, if he then fights Jose and the fight is rescheduled to take place here in Vegas, do you think we could see those kind of numbers, 20, 25,000 Irish being here?
Definitely, 100%. It remains to be seen when Jose's going to get back in. There's been talk about the December card, around New Year's sort of Eve. It's going to be crazy. If Conor is in that fight and it is against Jose Aldo, this place is going to be green. We will see those sort of numbers that Ricky Hatton saw in his fight against Manny Pacquiao. It's going to be absolutely crazy if it happens. Let's just hope it happens. I think we want an answer this weekend. We want to learn who's going to be that contender. And we really need to see that fight by the end of the year, because obviously, it's a huge shame, as we've mentioned on the podcast we did during the week. But the fight had to pull out. It's cost the UFC a lot of money with the promotion, change the billboards, marketing, everything. So we just need to see this fight happen as soon as possible. And, you know, for the good of the UFC, I think it'd be better if Conor did win, because we need a guy who's going to sell the pay-per-views. We've seen on Conan O'Brien during the week, really hitting that mainstream audience, Johnny.
Yeah, 100%. And when I spoke to back at UFC Boston, I was fortunate to get away with Conor's dad, Tony. He's a lovely fella, very articulate man as well. And I was speaking to Tony, and I didn't draw the parallel myself, but I just posited whether Conor's now almost becoming the David Beckham of Irish sports, or even Ireland in general. I mean, in terms of his profile, the fact he's very sartorially elegant, carries himself a certain way, he's building his brand. I know Conor himself probably won't like the comparison, because he's the sort of guy who wants to carve out his own
image,
But from an outside perspective, it kind of appears that way. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, like, you know, you look back on the Google statistics in Ireland for 2 years in a row, the most Google man in Ireland. He's been on one of Ireland's most famous shows, the Late Late Show, 4 times in one season, which is a record. Yeah. People know who Conor McGregor is. They might necessarily not know what the UFC is, but they know who Conor McGregor is. That is a testament to the brand and what he's done. Maybe not on the line, the level of David Beckham just yet, but certainly a very wealthy man. In 2 years he was on social welfare. So, it's just incredible what he's done, and that brand's just going to grow if he wins on Saturday night. Definitely 100%. But he's well on that road to becoming that sort of superstar like David Beckham.
Absolutely. And just regarding the late change of opponent, I mean, you've got to give kudos to Conor in the sense that, it was well publicised at the time, UFC 151, I think it was. Yeah. John Jones refused to fight with Chael Sonnen on basically 2 weeks' notice. Do you think it kind of highlights that Conor really is a pure fighter as opposed to just an MMA competitor? The fact that on such short notice he's willing to step in there against a style he's not really faced, certainly not at this level.
It's a completely different style to what he was preparing for against Jose Aldo. But, it goes back to, we spoke to PT on the podcast. PT spent a lot of time over in Mac Mansion. Yeah. And I think we popped the question to him, will he really adjust his style that much for Chad Mendes? And the answer was no, and even PT said he didn't really believe that theory until he was actually there with them training. And they don't do it. They prepare themselves for whoever's going to come at them. So, I think the range is going to be a factor. I think that was going to be a factor against Aldo as well. But, it's whether Chad can get in and get those stuffs, get this fight to the mat. We've heard, all his wrestling comments towards Conor McGregor. He's going to want to really cement and make this a wrestling fight because, in my opinion, there's only one winner if, Chad wants to stand in the pocket with Conor McGregor.
Yeah. And but purely talking in terms of financials now, the financial implications of a loss, not only to Conor himself but to the UFC, are quite dramatic. So in that regard, you've got to give him kudos as well, I imagine, because he's basically attributed the fact he's fighting to thousands of his Irishmen are coming over here to watch him, and he couldn't disappoint them, could he?
Yeah, no, you have to stand up, and I think it's remarkable that he's done that. He wants to represent these people. And I remember back in UFC Sweden when he made his debut, Conor wants to put a good light on mixed martial arts in Ireland, and he's certainly done that. The other guys have come in from his exposure, his popularity. It's just something about Conor where he doesn't want to let all the travelling fans, let them down. I think it's wonderful that he's stepped up to the plate and he's having a fight, because let's look at it. We've had a few very disappointing scenarios this year. Obviously, John Jones. We've had Jose Aldo pull out. It would have been an absolute travesty if Conor had not fought in this card. For all the travelling fans, and basically for the UFC, because it's a question everyone sort of wants to be answered. Can Conor deal with a wrestler? And we're going to see it on Saturday night.
Absolutely, and you alluded to it before when you had Pete C on the Pete C. Carroll, who obviously writes for Severe MMA, and I think he believed he'll be writing for the UFC this week.
Yeah, UFC.com he's on this week.
And he's witnessed firsthand some of Conor's training. Specifically, he was out at the Mac Mansion, as he told us. And a question I posed to him once he informed us of that was that if Chad can get this to the ground, force Conor on his back, how does Conor look in those kind of vulnerable positions? But Pete C informed us that actually he's terrific in the guard. He actually specifically, he got quite technical, started talking about butterfly guard and his ability also to scramble back to the feet. So it sounds like Conor is well prepped, even though he will recurrently tell us that there is no opponent, he fights himself. He trains all facets of the game, so it's one of those where it's going to be curious to see if he can get into the ground, what kind of Conor we see on his back.
Yeah, Conor's a guy who's been training with Gunnar Nelson. They roll at all hours in the morning for hours on end for so long. And to have a guy like that, to jiu-jitsu like that, wrestle, grapple, all that thing, you're going to improve off your back. And you can look back to the Max Holloway fight I know Max isn't notoriously known for his ground game, but Conor fought for 2 rounds with a blown knee, completely blown knee in that fight, and held his own very well and won the fight.
Yeah.
So what's Chad going to do if he gets Conor to the ground? That's going to be an interesting one as well. A nice chopper flying overhead here as we said that. But that is a really interesting question. There's a big onus on Chad to see what he's going to do on the ground as well. Conor's going to be very, very good off his back working with a guy like Gunnar Nelson. Make no bones about it. And who's to say Conor won't win by submission?
Yeah, absolutely. And I won't ask you for a definitive prediction, as obviously you're meant to demonstrate impartiality as a media member, but it would, with all the thousands, with the legions of Irish fans that are going to be on Saturday night, there'd be a pretty sour atmosphere in the air if we walk away with Chad Mendes prevails on Saturday, won't there?
Yeah, there'd be a sour one, but I guarantee you, win, lose or draw, we like to party in Ireland and in Dublin, so you'll see a party regardless of the outcome on Saturday night. Yeah. We'll leave my prediction to later on during the week as we soak up the atmosphere here, but I guarantee if you're anywhere around the area, get down on Saturday night because there's going to be a lot of fun had anyway, I guarantee that. Absolutely.
Well, always a pleasure talking with you, Niall, my friend.
Always good, Johnny.
Obviously, you arrived yesterday. Tuesday morning, as I mentioned before, it's sort of the calm before the storm here in Las Vegas, if I'm being honest. We're expecting the onset of, or shall we say the infestation, as Conor labelled it, of several thousand Irishmen. Your countrymen.
Bring your sunscreen, we're burning up a little bit here.
Absolutely, but no, looking forward to the atmosphere building, and of course, myself, Jonathan Shrager for the UG, and Niall, talkingbrawlsmma.com. Get on there all week. There's going to be plenty of content from an inside Irish perspective as well. Very informed member of the MMA media in Ireland. So get yourself on there as well. And we'll be doing this on a daily basis, I think, outside the venue of Saturday night. I think we'll be doing a daily dose, I think you want to call it.
Yeah, daily dose, whatever you want to call it, Johnny. It's up to you.
Lovely. All right, lovely. Well, pleasure.
Cheers, buddy.